Do you want to improve your public speaking skills? Public speaking creates anxiety for most people, myself included. My name's Kim Ross, and today I'm going to talk about ways to enhance your public speaking skills using an article as my reference entitled Talking Your Way to the Top with Style by Gina Marcello Serafin. As the article explains, there are two basic components to a good speech: substance and style. The first of these, substance, is what I'm going to cover first. In preparing a speech, the first step is to identify the topic. How to determine the topic? You may want to come up with a list of ideas, thoughts, or concepts that you either find interesting or that you know a little bit about. It's very important that you're interested in the topic you select, because your enthusiasm and interest are conveyed to the audience in your words and actions. Broad topics. If you happen to choose a broad topic, it's recommended that you focus on one aspect of that topic. The second step in preparing a speech is to identify the purpose. There are generally three reasons to give a speech: to persuade, to inform, and to entertain. If you're giving a speech to persuade, it influences the audience in some way. If you're giving a speech to inform, it expands the audience's knowledge about an idea, person, or process. If you're giving a speech to entertain, that typically will charm and relax the audience. It's very helpful to come up with a purpose statement that identifies your goals that you wish to accomplish with your speech. This helps to keep you on track, and it helps to keep you and the audience focused on what's really important. For example, if I were to come up with a purpose statement, I would say, the purpose for me giving this speech is to help you, the audience, to improve your speaking skills. The third step in preparing a speech is to know your audience. It's very important to identify to whom you will be speaking. Understanding the demographics of your audience is very important, considering their interests, concerns, age, education level, professional experience, gender, group membership, and cultural and ethnic background. The fourth and final step in preparing a speech is to organize your ideas. There are four common ways to organize. Chronological, which involves a time sequence. For example, if you are discussing child development, you may begin with preschool age and advance up to high school age. If you use spatial organization, that involves issues and ideas presented from top to bottom, left to right, or east to west. For example, if you were to discuss the effects of hypertension on the body, you could start with the head and discuss strokes, moving downward to the heart, and then to the kidneys. Topical organization involves organizing issues and ideas into categories or topics. For example, if you were to discuss the effects of the new healthcare bill, you would want to discuss the effects on families, caregivers, and on the service providers. The final way to organize is causal. This way of organization shows how one event affected or caused another. For example, if you were to discuss skin cancer, you may discuss exposure to sunlight and the effect it has on skin cancer. Next, you must select the organization theme. This is dependent on the topic you wish to discuss, the purpose of your speech, audience's information and interests, and your final goal, what you plan to accomplish with your speech. Now that we've covered the aspects of preparing a speech, we're going to move on to actually writing the speech. The first step in writing the speech involves developing an outline. A detailed outline is the best way to go about this. You can think of it as a road map with a starting location, major streets, side streets, and a final destination. Next is developing the speech structure. There are three common parts to a speech: the introduction, body, and conclusion of the speech. The introduction, the first few minutes are very important because that's when the audience gets their first impression of you, the speaker, and also the subject. The introduction should raise awareness and create curiosity in the audience. You can begin with an interesting quote or perhaps a statistic to pique interest. The body is where you're wanting to sustain that interest. This is where you provide information and details to what was discussed or what was introduced in the introduction. And the conclusion is where you naturally close the speech and you recap the ideas and you repeat what was discussed and the important facts you want your audience to get from your presentation. Now we're going to talk about style. Style is the second component to a good speech. Preparation and practice. It's very important to rehearse what you're going to say, because when we rehearse, we feel confident with our speech. And when we're confident, we're more likely to not experience anxiety during the speech. How to prepare the speech. You may ask, how do I go about presenting my speech? Do I memorize, use a written document, or use an outline? Well, you could memorize your speech word for word, or you could use a written document. If you use a written document, though, oftentimes you may get lost in the document and you may tend to rely on that document while you give your speech, therefore decreasing the eye contact and your interaction with the audience. The best way, I believe, and the best way that the author believes to organize the information and to present it is to use an outline. Outlines include all major points and categories. They're not in complete sentences, so you can refer to it but not rely on it. And you're still able to maintain eye contact and to interact with the audience as well. You may choose to use visual aids. Visual aids enhance presentations in two ways. They aid in comprehension and memory for the audience, and they add persuasive impact to your message. There are many different types of visual aids you may choose to use in your presentation, including pictures, slides, video clips, written handouts, graphs, models, overhead projections. There's just a whole variety of different types. What you use will depend on your topic. They should not distract from your presentation, but they should support your verbal information and complement your presentation. It's one very important aspect of giving a speech that's often overlooked is nonverbal communication. It's very important because it's not only what you say, but how you say it. Research suggests 58% of a message is dependent on the speaker's behaviors, nonverbal behaviors. So that would be their body language. 58% is dependent on the body language. Some examples would be hand gestures, facial expressions, use of space and time, perhaps vocal intonation. There's a whole bunch of different ways that we use hand gestures and nonverbal communication. There's just a variety of different ways we communicate nonverbally that we don't even realize we do. There's not one right way to create and present a speech. As long as you address the following issues: topic and purpose of speech, how to best organize information, the demographic characteristics of your audience, what and how visual aids will be used, how to locate supporting information, and how to use nonverbal behaviors effectively during delivery. With patience, learning to create and deliver a speech can be an exciting opportunity to share what you know. As Cato the Elder said, "Grasp the subject, the words will follow." Thank you for your time and attention, and hopefully this presentation will help you better your public speaking skills. Have a good day.